All right, another teacher, female teacher, having sexual inappropriate relationship or sexual relationship with a minor. What is going on? I just got another video sent to me, so this is a pretty important topic simply because women, professional women, teachers who are teaching minors, grade schools, high schools. I'm thinking men are getting caught, but more women are getting caught and being exposed more than ever now. Why? I don't know. But let's check out this video that was just sent to me, and I'll definitely comment on why this is happening, and more frequently for the past 10-15 years now it's open because of maybe a social media. I don't know. Let's check it out.
And the prosecutors presented to a court the narrative surrounding sexual misconduct it said was committed by 32-year-old 11th grade English teacher Shelly Dufresne.
32-year-old Shelly Dufresne is charged with one count of carnal knowledge of a juvenile. The Destrehan High teacher is accused of...
And these women are not bad looking. They're good looking teachers.
16-year-old student.
After investigators
Shelly Dufresne.
She had sex with a 16-year-old student in September after a Destrehan High School football game. Dufresne teaches English at that school, and the 16-year-old is a student there.
The St. Charles Public School District first reported this to the Sheriff's Office Friday after reports surfaced that a male student was bragging to his friend about having a sexual relationship with a teacher.
At the beginning of the 2014-2015 school year, she was working at Destrehan High School in Destrehan, Louisiana, an area where about 10,000 people live about 20 miles west of New Orleans near the Mississippi River. One day in August, one of her students was absent from school. The boy was 16 years old and played on the high school football team. Shelly contacted him via Facebook to check on him. The young man, who had turned 19 by the time of Dufresne's 2017 trial and whose identity has never been made public, testified during the proceedings and said that days after the initial Facebook message, the two became intimate when they made out in a classroom at school. Later that evening, the young man said, the teacher picked him up after a football scrimmage. She drove the boy to an isolated location in the town of Metairie, where she parked her car behind a daiquiri shop. "Good morning, sexy," said a text message Shelly sent to the boy the following day. Shelly created a dummy Facebook account under the moniker Madison Mexicano. She would use the account to coordinate liaisons with her young student. The cover photo of the page stated that she loves Mexican boys. The profile image on the page, an image of cartoon character Speedy Gonzalez. She used the account to set up her meetings with the boy. At some point, Shelly teased the boy about being Mexican. The boy is half Hispanic, but is not of Mexican descent. Over the course of the following month, the two would have sex about 40 times in numerous locations, including at the teacher's home in nearby Mons, Louisiana, where she shared with her husband and 3 children.
Wow.
The pair copulated in Shelly's
God, that is crazy.
various parking lots and the shed at one of his friends' house.
That is unbelievable. I'm having a little bit of lagging going on
On
here.
September 19th, after a Destrehan football game, Dufresne was at the sports pub and grill in Destrehan with colleagues. The boy happened to be there as well, with friends of his. Apparently one of the teenager's friends doubtfully questioned him about his supposed relationship with the teacher. This led to a fight outside the establishment. Later, the boy left the restaurant with Shelly, and they drove to the apartment of Rachel Respis, 24 years old at the time, a second-year teacher at Destrehan.
Wow,
The year
24.
before, she had been the boy's English teacher. Shelly and her young student had sex multiple times that night. At some point, Rachel joined the two for a threesome.
What?
The young man testified at trial that Dufresne and Respis began kissing, and they performed oral sex on one another.
Wow.
Then the boy continued having sex with Dufresne. The teen was apparently anxious or worn out from intercourse with Shelly because he was not able to achieve an erection. Apparently the boy did not consummate coitus with the younger teacher, but said that he did nevertheless engage in some sort of intercourse with her that night, along with Shelly Dufresne. "All 3 of us were in bed together," he told the court. we all started having sex together. The young man said that afterward he wrote...
It's unbelievable what is going on with the teachers today. Okay, I'm gonna pause it because there's a commercial, but it's unbelievable what the teachers are going today, especially the women. And these women are pretty good looking, and there's teachers that are pretty good looking. They're young, they have husbands, and they have kids. What is up with that? But anyway, let's proceed on, and I'll definitely commentate between clips and whatnot. But
said that afterward he rode with Shelley to a store to buy cigarettes, and the woman offered to buy him a pill to help him become erect. The boy declined the offer.
Oh my God.
At some point that night, Rachel passed out. Using his mobile phone camera, the boy videotaped the young woman as she slept. The video apparently showed the teen placing his genitals in the slumbering school teacher's face. The following day, in the football locker room, the teenager unveiled the video to his teammates as proof of the sexual exploits he'd been bragging about for weeks. Rumors began to spread. Shelley contacted the teen from the Madison Mexicano account and scolded him for showing off the digital images in his phone. Soon, school officials caught the scent of the gossip. They contacted the sheriff's office on September 26th. Days later, Dufresne and Respis were arrested. In subsequent court proceedings, the preceding details were revealed. Other revelations included the following. The boy apparently told police that he had taken the video of the sleeping Respis not only as evidence of the liaison, but also as revenge for an issue that he'd had with her the previous year when he was her student. Authorities never recovered the alleged video of Respis because the teen admitted deleting it along with other photos and text messages out of fear after he and his teacher's activities became a school-wide scandal. At some point, the young man threatened to expose his affair with Mrs. Dufresne after he took exception to her having corrected him in class one day. He apparently also attempted to blackmail the teacher in order to receive better grades and favored treatment at school. The defense cited the teen's covertly recorded video and the alleged attempted blackmail as evidence that the witness cannot be trusted and lamented the fact that the young man had faced no repercussions for his behavior.
Yeah.
Dufresne apparently had sex with her pupil in two separate jurisdictions, St. Charles Parish and Jefferson Parish, and faced charges of carnal knowledge of a minor in both. A parish in the state of Louisiana is the equivalent to what is referred to in most other states as a county. In St. Charles Parish Court, Dufresne admitted to having sex with the boy and pleaded to a reduced charge of obscenity in 2015. She was not required to register as a sex offender and received a suspended sentence. A Jefferson Parish judge heard the Dufresne case in April of 2017. That judge determined that despite Mrs. Dufresne's admission of sexual impropriety with the youth in neighboring St. Charles Parish, prosecutors did not prove the former teacher's alleged crimes in Jefferson Parish. In Shelley Dufresne's second sexual misconduct case, she was found not guilty. She served no jail time.
No jail time?
Rachel Respis ultimately was only charged with failure to report a crime following the alleged threesome at her apartment.
And the threesome?
Subsequent to Shelley Dufresne's acquittal in Jefferson Parish, the court dropped the charges against Respis.
Sex therapy.
Forget 16. If you were in this bed with me, we would be making love right now.
Peters painted a picture of a woman who went after a little boy. Prosecutors say Anderson first met the victim years ago when she taught him in the first grade. She then went on to teach him in the 5th grade. She then brought those lessons home, privately tutoring him in her Riverview house.
In February of 2012, the mother of a 12-year-old student at Mango Elementary School in Sefner, Florida, had a conversation with the teacher who had been tutoring her son. Sefner is a suburb of Tampa, just several miles east of the city. The mother happened to be secretly recording the conversation. During the dialogue, the teacher admitted that she had been sexually intimate with the woman's son. The recording was played in court when Anderson went on trial for lewd and lascivious behavior with a minor.
Anderson eventually admits in the tape they had oral sex.
Yeah, they had sex. Whether it's oral, anal, whatever, it's sex. Sex is sex.
A 4-year-old child, and she was 29 years old at the time. The mother had warned the Wire at the request of the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. She'd recently contacted authorities informing them that she believed her son was being abused. During the investigation conducted by the Sheriff's Office into the impropriety, they found that the teacher had been involved with the adolescent for about 3 months, beginning in December of 2011. Anderson was arrested in early March and charged with 9 felonies in the case. She went to trial in September of 2013. Both she and the boy offered testimony during the proceedings. The boy testified that the teacher's advances began one day at the teacher's home in the Riverview neighborhood where she would tutor him. He said, quote, "We sat on the couch and we started doing sexual stuff. At first I told her to stop. She was rubbing my leg, but then it just led to more." The boy said that over the next few months, Anderson fondled him, performed oral sex on him, and that they simulated sexual acts on each other while remaining fully clothed at least 9 times. The boy told the court that he began to feel as though Anderson was his girlfriend. He said he loved her and that Anderson told him that he was her boyfriend and that she loved him. He said she would rub his legs, would kiss him on his ears and neck. He said they would quote-unquote tongue kiss. The pair exchanged hundreds of texts in which they discussed their sexual relationship, referred to one another as baby, and professed their love for one another. The two apparently discussed the possibility of the boy one day fathering a child with the woman. Mrs. Anderson apparently told the boy that she wanted to leave her husband eventually, presumably to be with the boy.
Wow. That's crazy. 12 years old.
Anderson bought the boy clothes, took him go-karting, and
14 years old, 12 years old.
On Thanksgiving.
Wow.
The boy testified that he eventually began to have doubts about his relationship with Anderson.
Yeah.
He said, quote, "I'm dating a girl I'm in love with, and she thinks of me as a kid. It doesn't feel right." Anderson cried as she listened to her ex-pupil's testimony. When she was on the witness stand, she claimed that she had not been sexually intimate with the boy. She said that the sex she discussed with the preteen via text did not actually happen. She told the jury that she exchanged the explicit messages with the youth as a way of motivating him, a means of getting his attention, and as a form of therapy she offered to him, all in aid of helping him to become a better student.
At the time.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it there because she's saying that she denied everything. So there you go. Not a bad looking teacher. She looks half black, half white, a little bit on the hefty side, but when you're taking advantage to a 13 or 14 years old, they're just growing up mentally and sexually as well too. But at that age, and for her, I think she's like 25 years old, and she's denying it. She basically ruled this teenager, thinking that they are like boyfriend and girlfriend. So you're a teenager. I don't even know what in their mind would even do that. Usually guys, pedophiles, guys that are really, really creepy looking, usually do this. But now you got actually young teachers that are not bad looking teachers who have husbands and children are having sexual intercourse with, whether you're, doing fellatio or, whatever, you're still having sex with a minor. And you should be considered as a pedophile as well, too. But women, for some reason, are being more sexual deviants to young minors. And they're being exposed. And why are they teachers? They should be properly vetted before they go teach. Maybe I don't know, attraction, and I can understand what attraction is, but attraction for a 13 or 14-year-old? I don't know, man. That is quite alarming. It's quite disturbing, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. You need to keep your emotions in check and your sexual in check, especially if you're at that profession, ladies and gentlemen, but mostly ladies, because they're getting caught like left and right almost every single week. And, you know, thanks for sending me the video clip, but it was very alarming to watch it, and it's very cringing to watch this segment, but I got to do it because, hey, it's my podcast, and you got to know what's going on. But let's move on.
Struggling with school and having behavioral issues and anger issues and acting out at home and not being able to connect with his family the way that he felt and the way his parents felt. That was my purpose, to gain his attention. I'm sorry, I recognize.
There you go. You lied. You gained his attention. You needed his attention because you need to fulfill your desires, your sexual desires, to a minor, and a minor who thinks that he is old enough to have sexual relations with an adult. You're an adult. You have a higher superior being in front of your peers, and you're supposed to set a good example in front of your peers. But that's not a good way to set an example. But anyway, your sexual desires tempted you, a young kid, and you should be punished for that as well, just like men. But it's very alarming why women are getting caught and why they're getting away with it as well too, and they're getting pretty much a slap on the wrist. But why more now than ever? I think it's because of social media. You know, everybody wants to be a freaking this and that and whatever, and everybody wants to look good in this and that, and a lot of women out there are really flaunting their goodies, but and they're not shy about it either. So you gotta thank the Kardashians for that. That's horrible. There's nothing good about that show at all. It influenced a lot of young kids to be like that, and now this is what you get. Just calling to it
between her and her student.
So anyway,
We the jury find as follows as to count one of the charge. The defendant is guilty of lewd or lascivious battery engaged as charged.
Good.
Convicted her of 3 counts of lewd and lascivious battery, 4 counts of lewd and lascivious conduct, and 2 counts of lewd and lascivious molestation. In December of 2013, Ethel Anderson was sentenced to 38 years incarceration at a state prison.
Wow, 38 years. There you go.
Behind bars, accused of having sex with a former student.
Okay, we got another teacher now. Brianna Altick having another arrest, another teacher having sexual with a minor. Oh my Lord!
Year-old came forward with allegations of improper relations with 34-year-old Brianne Altice. Altice started teaching English at Davis just last year. Police say that
another not bad-looking teacher either.
Altice's home that backed up the teen's
Pretty.
story. Now, according to an arrest affidavit here, Altice admitted to at least 2 encounters with that student.
A 16-year-old boy started attending Davis High School in Kaysville, Utah at the beginning of the second semester of the 2012-2013 school year. It was January. He had just moved from another state. He told investigators that the change in scenery had taken him out of his comfort zone. He said that Mrs. Brianne Altice was the first teacher that was sympathetic to him. He was in her English class. He began flirting with Mrs. Altice.
It all starts with flirting too.
He said that Brianne would laugh it off, but he was persistent, and Brianne gave only light resistance to his advances. If I was 18, I know you would date me, the boy testified he would tell her often. The boy said he would tell Mrs. Altice 4 or 5 times a day how pretty she looked.
Well,
they became closer.
There you
the teenager would often confide in her. For example, one day he told her that he was worried that he might not pass an upcoming drug test. So Brianne took him to Walgreens to buy a home test. He said he ended up kissing her for the first time in the classroom.
Holy mackerel.
He said he continued requesting her company, and they started meeting in the morning before classes began.
Oh my God.
They rendezvous in the parking lot of a church not far from the school.
A church? Oh
there they mostly talked at first, but then the kissing became more frequent. The first time they had sex was in her car in that parking lot on a morning in March.
Jesus, Murphy.
Later that month, she drove the boy to her home in South Weber for sex while her husband was out of town. This happened twice more. The teenager began skipping his other classes in favor of hanging out in Mrs. Altice's classroom. He was deemed truant. He was failing nearly every class but Brianne's. They saw one another that summer. The last time they had sex was on his 17th birthday, he said. In June, they ceased seeing one another. The young man began to feel guilty about his relationship with the teacher. The following school year, he transferred to Viewmont High School. In October, the boy contacted police and reported the impropriety between himself and Brianne. He described to them the layout of her house and tattoos she had on her body. Police showed up at Brianne's home with a warrant to take pictures of the bedroom and of her tattoos, which they found matched what the boy had described.
Oh boy, there you go.
Brianne was arrested in the outcome of the investigation.
Yeah.
When media reports of Brianne's arrest first surfaced, a 17-year-old boy took the news very hard. This was a different boy from the one that had reported the teacher. He was very emotional. He cried, he punched a brick wall in anger and fractured his hand.
Well, there you go. Teenagers, man, you don't know how to handle their emotions. You're gonna like you fall in love with a teacher.
The police.
Oh, it's in the back of your mind. It's an illusion. You dream about it. It's a fantasy, but when it comes to reality, at that age, you're gonna, you know what I mean? You're just a young kid. You know, you're supposed to fall in love with girls your age, not 15 years older. That can screw up a young kid's mind, especially a guy's mind. At that age, you know, you're thinking, like, hell yeah, you know, your teacher, you know, I remember many times when you're young, everybody thought our French teacher back in grade 8 was hot as hell, like, and you know, you're at a young age, you're like, man, she is a good-looking teacher, like, but that's your fantasy. You're just a young kid. You're not gonna act upon it. You know what I mean? And the teacher knew she was good-looking, but she had a boyfriend as well too. And it's like in the back of your mind, you're thinking, man, I wonder if I could get this girl. When you're young, but you're young, right? It's just innocent because you're young, but all the other guys were thinking exactly the same thing. But for some reason, this teacher, I could understand too, because the teacher kind of flirts with you and you kind of flirt with her back. You're like, oh my God, do you think I might have a chance with her? So it does. Back then too, I was in grade 8, grade 7 or 8 or so, but our French teacher was really hot. And I was into like girls with short hair and nice round asses. She was like exactly what I wanted. But that was just a fantasy. You're a young kid, young, dumb, fuck. It's not funny, but back then, thank God, nothing happened. It's just wild how it can, because when the woman who is your teacher and you become more sexually active, you're 13, 14 years old, your hormones are all over the place. You know what I mean? So when a teacher does that to you, guys are gonna think, yeah, man. Anyway, let's proceed on and listen to the rest of the story here, because it's very quite interesting why all these teachers are getting caught, and why all these teachers are getting tempted by young kids.
They had sex multiple times and stopped seeing one another while the 2015 school year ended. A month after Brianne's arrest, her husband filed for divorce and said he wanted custody of their 3 children.
There you go. You just ruined your life.
She was charges. First-degree felonies in the state of Utah.
Yeah.
During the preliminary hearing, the second boy referred to Brianne Al-Tice as a, quote, teacher with benefits. Wow. A civil lawsuit filed against Mrs. Al-Tice claimed that students were aware of the improper relationships and that there was a running joke at the school, quote, who's Mrs. Al-Tice sleeping with now, unquote.
Oh, wow.
Investigators discovered yet another teen with whom Mrs. Al-Tice had been intimate.
The
third young man had become friends with her when he was a junior and started sitting in on her classes while skipping his own. The sexual relationship between them began at the start of the 2013-2014 school year. They initially shared a 10-minute encounter in his car. The intimacy progressed during lunches and after school. Some encounters were interrupted because she had to go pick up her children. They continued seeing one another even after her arrest, as she was waiting to be formally charged and as her husband was preparing to file for a divorce.
This girl's messed up.
The intimacy continued all the way up to August 2014.
She's messed up.
The young man testified reluctantly during a pretrial hearing and said of the proceedings, quote, it's ridiculous and she doesn't deserve to be here, unquote. He was 18 at this point. He said he still had feelings for Brianne.
Oh, for
He
sure.
glanced at her
She's not a
occasionally
bad
during
looking
his
girl either.
testimony.
All made up,
Prosecutors
yeah,
levied new
but
charges against Brianne in light of the third improper relationships discovery. In January of 2015, her bail was revoked and she was taken into custody. She pled guilty in April of 2015 and the prosecution dropped several of the charges. In July, Brianne Altice was sentenced to no less than 2 years and no more than 30 years of incarceration.
Oh, okay.
In April of 2019, she was released from prison on parole.
Wow.
Thank you guys so much for watching.
Okay, so thanks for the link. And like I said, if I like the video and if it's interesting, I'm going to put it on my podcast. And today's segment is why teachers are getting caught with sex. Why teachers are getting caught having sex with students. Okay, it's immoral impropriety. We were talking about women now are getting caught almost every single week. And there's a lot of teachers out there. And there's a lot of teachers out there that are pedophiles? Yeah. But why are they getting caught? Why are they getting tempted? Maybe it's because they're not satisfied with their husband, or they got married and they weren't really in love, or she just got tempted with a younger male. But 13 and 14, keep that to yourself and keep your emotions in check there, teachers, especially ladies. It can be tempting because, we are human beings. We are going to falter from grace. And we have to understand that social media out there is so fierce because the sex is out there even more now than ever because it's just a keyboard away. And there you go. And guys who are at that age are not going to keep their mouths shut. They're not. They're going to show off because say, I got my teacher this, I got to do that. I got her this, I got her that. I see what she looks like. I had sex with her. Guys, and you got to think about the repercussions at the end of what your action, and it's not going to end up well. Look what happened. You're going to serve time, and serving time, and you're going to lose your livelihood. You're going to lose your family, and your husband is never going to come back to you. So think twice before you do that dirty deed, a dirty act. Sex is a great thing. It's a beautiful thing from God. But when you do it maliciously and intently to a minor, especially you're supposed to set a good example. And if you're a teacher, 13 and 14, like I said, your emotions are like skyrocketed and you just don't know how to handle it. And guys are not going to keep their mouths shut. I don't know so much women, but I'm a guy, so I'm just letting you know when you're at that age, you're going to show off, say, my God, I just had sex with my teacher. Or, you know what I mean? The guys are going to say something. And it only takes one person or one idiot out there that's going to, and then it's going to spread like wildfire, like a virus, and say, oh my God, she just had sex with a teacher, blah, blah, blah. And it's not a good thing, man. Keep your emotions in check there, ladies, because always think about what's going to happen at the repercussion, what's going to happen with, at the end. You're going to lose your marriage, you're going to lose your children, you're going to lose custody of your children, you're going to end up in jail for a very long time. For what? 5 minutes of pleasure with a minor? So, anyway, I'm just going to leave it the way it is. And about this topic, it's a very touchy topic. It's very hard to handle sometimes. It's very cringing to watch. It's also very scary because you want to put yourself, you have empathy for these teachers, but you can't turn back the time when you're doing the dirty deed and you're having sexual intercourse with a minor. There's no turning back, right? And it's gonna definitely screw up the young kids because the young kid's gonna think you're in love with them, or maybe you are, but maybe you should definitely keep in check and seek help. Seek the Lord's help. Yeah, that's one thing that needs to be is also keep your faith intact as well too. And let God be your guide and give you strength so that you can tackle a lot of difficulties in this world today, especially social media. All right, guys, that's enough for today's podcast. Bye for now. God bless. Godspeed, and we'll see you in the next one. Whew.